So yesterday I told you that I had a mother that I didn't know about, a stepmother, of course, who was younger than me, and she asked me to teach her to drive. I won't go through all the scenarios yesterday because if you listen to this, you probably listened to it yesterday. So she had a flat in Paddington, and I thought this must be very high end because it's a good part of London. I got to the address and the flat, or was it a room, was right at the top. And I realised that I'd got it all wrong. This really wasn't anything fantastic. In fact, it was the other way around. It wasn't great at all. And I rang the doorbell and Vera opened the door. And I was kind of taken aback because she was stunning. And I thought, how come my father has married this lovely young girl, half his age, or probably more than that? So alarm bells just start ringing, but she was very nice. She was Czechoslovakian, and she invited me in. And she said, come in for coffee, and I said, okay. Came in for coffee. She had a little dog, a little Yorkie, little yappy Yorkie, named Jilly. Why, I don't know, but there you go, she had this dog. And she said, we like coffee. I said, yeah, I'll have a coffee. So I sat down, and the only seat in this tiny little place was the bed. It was a bed sit, so I sat on the bed. And she made her coffee and she gave it to me. And she sat down again very close to me. We had a coffee and we talked about driving and what she should do. She didn't seem overly interested at that point, I must say. But I felt her kind of shuffling to me. And I put my coffee cup down when I'd finished drinking and said, well, we better go on and do some practical stuff. And she put her coffee cup down and said, yeah, let's do something. But she didn't get up. And she moved towards me. And I didn't have much choice. So I did kiss her, which I thought I really shouldn't have done. But it didn't stop there. She was very forthcoming, and what I have to say is, I mean, I was only 23. I was new to this, totally, and I was a shy boy, and I just went along with things, and I think I can honestly say that she seduced me, and it didn't come from me, and I remember at one point when she was pulling me towards her, she was saying, I'm only human. I mean, why was she saying, I'm only human, stop? And I let it happen. And I felt very guilty after that. And I said, look, we came here to teach you to drive. And she said, well, it's not really important. She said, I do have lessons, she said, and my car's in a garage some way from here. She said, we might as well stay here. And we did, and I must admit it was kind of pleasant, and although I knew it was wrong, anyway, after a while I said, look, I've got to go, I've got to work. She said, will you come again? I said, well, yeah, I've got to speak to my dad. I said, because you're married to him. I said, I've got to tell him that I know. But I'm not going to tell him anything about this. And you mustn't tell him. Never, ever, you mustn't. And I got really quite sort of angry in a way. And I said, don't ever tell him. And I made a point there. I think, anyway, that's part of the next story, so I'll finish a little bit more about that tomorrow. and look forward to telling you. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye.